Hello, traders. Welcome to the last Crypto Lab with Alex in 2020. Thank you for being with us on the last day of the year. So let's review our usual crypto space as we do every week. On Thursday, um, I will begin this last Crypto Lab with some of the news that we have seen in the last few days, and they are concerned with the starting of a government's grip on the crypto space. As you know, probably we have seen some of the news, especially in regards of the Ripple and XRP, and as well few days we also had the news that governments in India are looking to impose the 18% GST tax on a Bitcoin trades. We also have the last personal lawsuit regarding the Coinbase because they listed XRP. And this starts to increase. So for the last few weeks we have seen several of these governments attempts to regulate the crypto space, and it's becoming a kind of a norm from several countries in the world, and I think that this will continue in 2021, at least in the first half. I would say from one side that is a good thing. From the other side, as you can see, the US Commission for Securities used this 160 law paragraphs to consider XRP as the stock, and they accused guys which are running Ripple as a suit over basically unlawfully putting the XRP there in 1.3 billion. I think it's wholly of the amount, and they consider that as an issue stock. So this will last for some time, I think maybe in all 2021, and for that reason I think Ripple will see more of a lower levels, and we also saw the news that some of the exchanges are going to start and delist Ripple from their exchanges because of this lawsuit. I'm expecting to see this news more and more, especially in the first beginning months of 2021. So this is one of the segments we need to track on a crypto space, and that we need to see how this will unfold in the future. So let's start our usual routine and look our charts. So as usual, we're going to start with the Bitcoin. We are tracking the larger time frame count through the lenses of the Elliott wave methodology, which is our preferred tool through which we look at the markets. I'm sorry the interrupt. Maybe we interrupted for a second. I'm looking here for the application which is doing so. I apologize for that. It's probably because of the internet. So let's see if this will continue to happen. So as you can see here, we count this for the 2010, 2009 as a wave 1, down in 2, and now we are looking for orange wave 3 development, which usually has as its targets 1618 projection. And here, as you can see, it's on this log scale, it comes around 156, 245,000. This is one of the levels we will watch, and the progression should follow in the third wave, and on the lesser degree we should also see, due to a fractal nature of the markets, also a 5-wave development, and we should be in the latest stage of this orange wave 3 on the upside. From this end of 2011 we had 5 waves up in 1, down in 2, up in 3 from 2017, which was the last highs, we have seen a pullback which lasted for almost 3 years, and then we see now a continuation above this all-time high, and we are trading close to 29,000 currently. We also have an option that this was some type of a triangle, so we will go in that into a smaller time frame. So the picture stays the same from the point of this higher time frames. We are looking for a green wave 3 on the upside. The question is just how these subwaves will arrange themselves in order to get to this projected target that we have for the green wave 3, pullback in a green wave 4, and then a final push to complete this orange wave 3 at the targets we already mentioned. We will not go further because after orange wave 3 we should see some type of a consolidation. I draw here a triangle. It is of course not necessary that this consolidation, if we get this wave structure to develop, it's going to be triangle. There is several corrective patterns that might unfold. So let's start to look this on a little bit more visible chart. So we're gonna go on a smaller time frames and look what's going on there. We have a few wave counts. This is one of them where we track after this pullback a beginning of a new upside. We subdivide this as a wave 1 down in 2, and now we are in a lesser degree orange wave 1, and we are expecting pullback in a wave 2. So we are looking for some levels around 30 to 31,000 before we see a deeper pullback, which will actually be just an orange wave 2, after which we will see another push upside in the orange wave 3. So the other option, a little bit more aggressive, that we are looking is a 1-2-1-2 wave count, which means that the subdivisions are a little bit more aggressive. I don't like particularly that this wave 2 is a little bit smaller. As you can see, we didn't have a quite normal retracement, not even a 23% from there. So if we remove this, as you can see, we can count potentially here this as a 5-wave pullback in a wave 2, and then a further subdivision here. So if we turn back our wave count, so this will be basically 1-2 and then a 1-2, and this is very bullish. If we see just a minor pullback back to this 14 to 16,000, the wave 3, green wave 3, should be really explosive and vertical on the upside, because this is considered to be the strongest move in the sequence. So if this is the case, if we have very aggressive 1-2-1-2 wave count after a pullback, we are going to see a further rapid acceleration on the upside. So let's discuss one of the bearish counts we are tracking. It is just a temporarily bearish wave count. It is one of the pullbacks that we went through the last time as well. It's called an expanding flat, actually a running flat of the expanding flat, which says that this was just a 335, and from this region we are going to do a 5-wave move lower back to 10,000 levels, and then a very strong continuation on the upside. And as I said last time, this is a very nasty correction which tends to wipe out all the weekends and then continue on the upside. This is also possible. I'm not still considering this as the firm possibility. I'm looking at it. I'm more for maybe a little bit this of an aggressive 1-2-1-2 wave count, and of course if the correction begins, we will know by the sheer size of these corrective pullbacks which of these options will actually unfold, because by the depth of this wave A, we will actually be able, after a pullback in a wave B, to project a firm Fibonacci targets where we should land and finish this correction and continue on the upside. So from these options, we are going to determine on a basement of a corrective pullback which one will become our primary wave count. Looking some of the correlated markets, which we know now, it has to be correlated, because if we have the S&P potentially in a wave 5 up there, and we are expecting a larger correction, I think this will also affect holders of the Bitcoin. Also, dollar is very close to finish the first 5-wave sequence from its March 2020 highs. I doubt that the Bitcoin can continue on the upside if we see this relatively correlated assets classes respectively go lower as in the S&P case, and go higher as in a dollar case. So I doubt that the Bitcoin will sustain this rate of rapid acceleration if these markets unfolds as we think they're going to unfold. So also we look sometimes this RSI on the higher time frames. As you can see, even if you go on weekly, it's pretty high. So I think very soon, maybe after the 15 days in January, we might see this larger pullback potentially to begin in the Bitcoin. So as some other cryptos are in question, we will look some of them. We track a lot of cryptos for our members. And let's look XRP. This is now very interesting on the table. We were looking for several solutions here. I'm gonna be definitely bearish on the XRP. I doubt that we are going to do just a wave 2 here until this lawsuit is finished. So I'm gonna exercise the possibility that this will be the wave count. So a first 5 waves on the upside, and this will be a WXY, which means that we are in a complex corrective pullback, and that we are going to see potentially all 2021 in Ripple moving lower with a small B wave correction, reaching potentially 0.3, 0.4, 0.03, 0.04, 0.05 levels here as a potential hold. Of course, this is just a hypothesis, and we are going to track what is going to occur here. Definitely some type of a pullback in a 3-wave sequence will give us a viability of this wave count, and especially if we start to see some type of a 5-wave move from these lows and a pullback. I think that will be potential in this scenario a very nice buy level for the further upside in Ripple when all of this mess is actually sold. So if we look also the RSI, you can see here that RSI is definitely moving lower. We still have time to reach this 30.26 levels here, potentially after a small correction, and then we possibly might continue to lower levels as well. So I think this picture for now is satisfactory to track what is going to occur on the Ripple. We also can look some of the other cryptos. If we look Stellar, I think that decoupling of these two will become more evident in days to come. I'm still looking for a potential continuation in Stellar. We didn't see this type of a move down in Stellar as we saw in a Ripple, and definitely these two will decouple from the strong correlation that they had in the past. We are still kind of holding potential 4th wave pullback, and we are tracking now a wave count which suggests potentially we might still have a little bit more upside. If not, that's fine. I will look this as a more deeper correction for a possible wave 2 and a continuation. I definitely think that we will see more and more decoupling of Stellar and Ripple, and that potentially Stellar will find its own way trading outside of the Ripple connection. We can also look some of the alternative coins that we are tracking for our members. So let's look some of the charts that we also look sometime last time. We didn't look some of them. I think we are gonna look this one for the first time. We already looked compound, and compound is still in this type of a kind of a consolidation. So from this move and an abrupt move on the upside, we have seen a three-wave pullback here to equality, which is a usual measured move that we look in a Elliott wave methodology, and the measured move are usually looked in the technical analysis. So from there, we are tracking a possible expanding leading diagonal. Expanding variety of leading diagonals says that they have to have a 5-wave move on the upside in an expanding sequence, and after that the pullback will be viable. There is a little bit of hesitation, so we will see if this will develop like this. But if we develop this type of a 5-wave sequence, that will be very bullish for the compound after a pullback, and I think that this compound will be a very nice buy around these levels, in a sense that I think if this levels holds and starts to produce a smaller 5 waves on the upside, I will look for a probable continuation for the further gains in the compound in the future. So let's look SushiSwap. We looked at several times. Still undecisive here. After a clean 5-wave sequence on the upside, we see 3 waves pullback, but this move further after this 3-wave pullback, it doesn't guarantee that this will continue. So we will need to see a further progression and subdivision of the waves, and potentially I will be looking more for a continuation of a same sequence to the downside for now, as we see a hesitation here, and we look for other cryptos potentially to make some corrective pullbacks, and then I think definitely SushiSwap will follow. But in the case we just start to go sideways, that will also and do a smaller correction, that will also start to be relatively bullish for SushiSwap if we do just a small pullback and then continue from here on the upside on a further progression of this potential wave 1 or A on a higher degree level. So yes, hi Juan, sure, we're gonna look Litecoin, no problem. So let's look also Polkadot, which exhibited a nice move on the upside. As you can count from lows, you can see a clear 5-wave move on the upside. This is the daily time frame, and then you can see a 3-wave pullback. And after that, we can look this as an already mentioned expanding leading diagonal, which we potentially seek to see in a compound. We have seen a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We didn't have a wave invalidation here. I think it's an even, so that counts as a valid. A 3-wave pullback and then a continuation. So this wave count to start to look valid on the upside, we need a further subdivisions. So if this starts to develop a further upside in this orange wave 3, pullback in the orange wave 4, and the upside in the orange wave 5, definitely the conclusion can be made that after a pullback, Polkadot will continue on the upside. Here there is already a kind of a semi-confirmation that we are already in a higher degree third wave on the upside, and there is certainly a reason to believe that we are in the further upside. RSI is a little bit higher, so we are going to expect a little bit of a pullback here, which is natural after a strong move, and then a potential continuation on the upside as well in Polkadot. So there is also this new kind of an energy token. I think it's co-founder of Apple, which issued this one. And as you can see clearly, after a nice 5-wave move drop to the downside, we are either in some type of a corrective move, or this is going to be the last lows, and we're going to see a 5-wave move development on the upside. So I will just explain you briefly. After these 5 waves, usually you have just a 3-wave correction, but since we don't have much of a data because this is a new coin, this can be the end of the finishing sequence, and we might from here accelerate upside in a 5 waves, pullback in a 3 waves, and this will then become very bullish. So from these highs, clearly you can see a nice subdivisions. So everything is very clear from the Elliott wave perspective here. You have a nice push lower in the wave 1, pullback in 3 waves in the wave 2. Then you have a 1, 2, down in 3, up in 4, and down in 5 in a wave 3. Wave 3 usually is a longest sequence, and it is the kind of a vertical drop, which you can see here because the angle of attack is very vertical to the downside. Then we had a 4th wave pullback and a final sequence in the clear discernible 5-wave move to complete all of this move to the downside. So clearly a little bit of educational in Elliott wave methodology. Clearly you can discern a very nice 2 corrections, 2 pauses on the downtrend. This was the first one, this was the second one. These 2 corrections didn't invalidate or entered each other space, so this is counted as a clean impulse wave, and as you can see, it's very nicely developed in this sequence. We are going to track this one and starts to look what is going to occur here. If we see some type of a 5 waves coming around 2.8 or further, then the conclusion will be that this was the lows and that we are going to see much higher levels in this one. So for now, if you can look, we have here only 3-wave development. So even if we are in a pullback, we should see some type of a 5-wave sequence on the upside and then a further lower levels. But in a case we develop a 5-wave clear without these corrective pullbacks in 3 waves, we're going to conclude that the pullback is going to be the last one we are going to see for some times, and then this coin will abruptly continue further to the upside. So just for the sheer look of it, how this will actually present itself, we will see some type of something like this. So it will be wave 1 and 2, up in 3, 4, and 5. So this will be a clear sign that this was the low, and next pullback will be in 3 waves, and this will be definitely a place of the possible lows that we might continue further on the upside as the 2021 passes. We can still not deal with the time here when this will occur. We are looking some time dimension comparing some of the waves, but they work very nicely when the liquidity is big, and currently liquidity on this one it's not so big, so we cannot still include some time dimension here. Also, as you know, the Bitcoin crossed $500 billion market cap, and as I said, the narrative and the quality of participants which are buying now Bitcoin are way different than from the move from 2009 up to 2017. We are seeing some large fund investing into cryptos, especially Bitcoin. But I will also argue that blockchain space holds a very viable project, which I think it's going to be very valued in the future. So I will just advise you not just to look Bitcoin. We are going to do and present some of our research and projects here on a blockchain space, but I will also advise you to do your own work and look for the developments in the blockchain, because I think this technology will develop further, and that we are going to see a viable projects which might be worth in several years multiple times than they're priced now. Also, we have seen Theta. Theta is, as you know, a video streaming, so a very strong move on the upside. I didn't do a wave count on this one, but in general, I will present that for the next time. I placed some of the features here, but as you look for a further continuation on the upside in Theta, let me just find it again. So if you look the share progression, you can see that we are reaching now, even with the moving down in the RSI, new highs here. So this is a very constructive development for now. So if we count this as a 1 down in 2, so we can count this that this is a very discernible vertical wave 3 on the upside. So if we do some type of a projections, we can see that Theta can climb relatively higher from this low. So this will be some type of a wave 1 down in 2, up in 3, 4 and 5. So as soon as the first 5-wave sequence is finished, we are going to see potentially a nice pullback in 3 waves, which will actually be just a kind of a balancing act to balance this relatively sharp rise in Theta, and then potentially this will also be one of the lows which we might not see for the rest of the few years in advance. We are talking, of course, just hypothetically. We first need to see a 5-wave sequence fully developed, and then we will be able to see how much this pullback will actually yield on the downside, and how long this balancing act will actually last for this one. Showing you this, I just wanted to say that there is viable projects there, and that you should also look for the developments in a blockchain space. I'm tracking several ones which I personally would like to invest. So don't just focus on a Bitcoin. I think the blockchain space offers much more value in the future. The Bitcoin narrative is just a store of value. The utility is starting to be more accepted in this fiat currency debt-driven world that we live in now. But I think that the store of value will actually be the first priority of the investment. Of course, some gaining on yields, because if you have Bitcoin going up like 50, 100%, 150%, of course, if you are there, it's going to become a trading vehicle where you can make some nice returns. That's one of the features as well. But I think the main feature will be this narrative of the store of value in this current world that we live in. Okay, so let's look Litecoin. Litecoin is, I think, starting a larger pullback. So we will look a few time frames. For now, we don't see a very nice impulsive move to the downside, so maybe we might see another push here on the upside. I'm looking Litecoin from several perspectives. I will show you a few ones just to find this one on a higher time frame. In this one, we look this move on the upside as an expanding leading diagonal in the wave 1. Resistance definitely is as 100 at 145.18 here, because this was the orange wave 3, a pullback in the orange wave 4, and then we have a 5-wave move on the upside, and in 1 ABC down in a wave 2, and then we see a further development on the upside. I cannot say that I like much this wave count, particularly because of the leading expanding diagonal. It doesn't fit somehow to my eye. It is possible that we are in this one, and that after some relatively discernible pullback to 38%, because when you have this type of leading diagonals which are very bullish for the future, usually retracement levels are around 38.2%, which has kind of a sense when you have a leading diagonal, which is by itself telling to you that market is very bullish on something. I like also this wave count. Let me just give me just some time to find it. Although we have seen some discrepancies of the wave 2 and the wave 4, but I will allow that on the cryptos. So we might be here in a wave 1, down in 2, up in 3, some type of a triangle which is already finished in a wave 4, and that we are starting a larger degree wave 5 now. We know that triangles, if this is a triangle, are terminal patterns in the wave 4, and they're announcing one more move on the upside, and then the first sequence will finish with a potential pullback. So even if we are in a triangle here, if I go on a daily, we can subdivide a possible 5-wave move here with a potential correction coming soon. Usually the levels which we look, it's going to be the previous levels of the B wave, which are here, as I said, at 146, and from there or close to these levels we will expect some type of a pullback here. Possible support levels will be around, I will think 80. I will not go that much on a 64. That depends how long will be the pullback on other cryptos, because more or less the space is still functioning in the synchronicity, except of this decoupling in correlations that they functioned for the last few years. So I will say this pullback will be in 3 waves, possibly in a kind of a less corrective pullback that I'm anticipating using some of the fib ratios. So let's see 2 versus 1. We can track this 50% or 61.8% retracements, which goes between 69 and 80 levels for a possible pullback, which is a kind of a standard correction, having this an abrupt rise from this potential E wave in this 4th wave. I also didn't explain the possible triangle wave count, and this is our founder and owner of the trading analysis, and my dear friend and teacher in the Elliott wave, because I learned Elliott wave from Todd almost 11 years back. His preferred wave count, I think for now, is a triangle on a Bitcoin. Let me just find it. I think it's here. Yeah. So in the case that we are in this type of a triangulation in the Bitcoin, of course, we know that triangle should have a discernible sideways correction, which means it's a balancing act between the buyers and sellers. And here we have a down length in A, up in B, down in C, D, and very short E wave, which is a kind of a suspicious E wave. We don't see much of such a short pullbacks in E wave, but from the Elliott wave standpoint, this triangle is completely valid, so we cannot say and discard this wave count as a less probable one. But anyhow, if we have a triangle here, we know that this sequence will develop in a 5-wave in a post-triangle trust, reaching some of the new highs in a Bitcoin in the possible wave 3. So triangle is telling us that this will be a last sequence before the higher time frame correction starts and take us to a new lower levels, not lower from here, but lower in this area, and then we should continue further for the 5th wave, as you can see here in the blue wave 5, sorry. So anyhow, if you have the sequence from the triangle in a 5 wave, so this is the wave 1, we should complete very soon. We should see a pullback to a certain degree of a support levels, 50% or 38% retracement, maybe even 61.8, and then you should see a continuation on the upside. So overall, my conclusion, except of the several wave counts we are tracking, and I honestly love that feature that you can kind of have several perspectives and that you can see a real clues when this correction starts, and you can have a tool to measure which type of a correction this will be and how long it will go, that you can have some initial information to form a possible hypothesis and the wave count, and that you can search for certain signposts where it's going to become very clear what actually market is doing. So as you know, we are trading at a new time high, so I will say all of this upper part of this previous correction will now act as a support, which is a very bullish, and until that is breaking on the downside, we have to look further on the upside on a Bitcoin as well. Okay guys, so I will not keep you longer. It's New Year's Eve, so have a very bright and successful 2021. I will hope you find this channel used to you as well as to us. If you like, you can visit Trading Analysis. We have complete crypto service there. We also have a nice member webinars, chart room, Discord channel. So if you like to have a little bit more depth and more cryptos, and also some trading in cryptos, you can potentially join us and be a member of our relatively large community of crypto traders. We also have a nice Discord channel. As you can see here, we exchange charts and we comment, try to see shorter term setups on cryptos. There is lots of members there which participates, and we share our thoughts and wave counts and try to, of course, be useful and learn from each other and exchange news. So we have a very nice community. So without further ado, I wish you a nice 2021. I hope it's going to be better for all of us, and see you next week in a new edition of Crypto Lab. So thank you for the attention, and